Hey everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. Think you need flowers for big color and interest in your garden? Well, think again, because today I'm going to take you along with me as I plant up 4 new containers for my summer garden. And I'm going to be choosing plants, summer annual plants, that are going to go in those containers that are mostly foliage. The other great thing about the plants I've chosen for my containers today is they do equally well in sun or shade conditions. So many plant breeders are really listening to us home gardeners, and they know that we have tricky spots in our garden. We have certain spaces where we put our containers or our beds that sometimes they get some sun, sometimes they get the shade, and we want things that we can just set and forget. And so today's video is going to be all about that. So before we turn around and head into the greenhouse where I'm going to show you those beautiful, mostly foliage type plants I'm going to put in those containers in just a little bit, I want to invite everybody out there to please like and subscribe to my channel. Subscribing to my channel helps me grow my channel, but more importantly helps me reach more home gardeners just like you. I am just your average home gardener here in my Zone 6 Missouri garden, and I have just had such a great time connecting with other gardeners, not just in the US, but all over the world. So thank you for those of you that have supported my channel and are already watching. And for those of you that just happened to find me, I am so glad you are here. Okay, let's head in the greenhouse. For those of you that have been following my channel and following my most recent videos, you know I am in full planting mode, and my greenhouse is bursting with plants that I've started from seed that need to go out, and lots of these beautiful annuals, mostly, that are going to be going out in the garden. It's finally safe to plant some of these plants. We've gotten warmer evenings on the horizon, so it is just go time for me. It's just planting. So this is sort of what things are looking like at the moment in the greenhouse. Now, if I pan around here slowly, you can see actually right over here, this represents things I've already planted in the last few days. And some of you might have seen some of those videos. So, I've already put a lot of things out, but gosh, look at this. All right, enough talk. Let me show you all which of these plants are going to go in those containers today. Those of you who watch my channel, I bet you guessed what kind of plants I was referring to that are all foliage, no flowers, because I love Coleus. So if you guessed Coleus, you are correct. So that's going to be a dominant feature in today's containers. I love Coleus because you can get Coleus in a million different colors, a million different growth habits, meaning some get enormous. I mean, I had Coleus planted in the landscape last year, and they got 4 feet tall and about 2.5 feet wide. One little plant turned into something marvelous. They come in colors, a whole range of colors that you can mix and match, and just do you, be creative. They come in different kinds of growth, like the ones that got enormous and are more upright, but there are some, in fact, I think one of them I'm going to be using today is more, it mounds and then it trails and cascades over the side of your container. So it's just, the variety is just endless, and I have just fallen in love with Coleus over the last 2 or 3 years. In fact, I'll make sure I link some of my other Coleus videos if you're interested. I'll put the link in the description below. Last, I have to say, one of the absolute best things about Coleus is they're the easiest plant to propagate. All you have to do is take some little snips, some cuttings, put them in some water. Let me show you. I've got a bunch of cuttings waiting up there. Take a cutting, put it in water, wait 2 or 3 weeks, watch that beautiful root development. Once it gets a decent amount of roots, which for me it usually takes about 3 weeks in the greenhouse, I will pop those into fresh soil, let them grow on a little bit more, and then I'll put them right out into the landscape or in other containers. And I've taken this one mother plant and I've gotten 2, 3, 4, 6 more plants out of it. Really a great thing about Coleus, in my opinion. All right, so I need to show you what I've selected for today. I'm going to be potting up my tall self-watering containers. I have one that sits on either side of the garage door, and I am going to put in those containers the Color Blaze Velveteen Coleus. So let me bring this in really close. The sun isn't super bright today, so I don't know if it's going to do it justice, but that is what the plant looks like. I think I'll wait till I get up to the containers and I'll tell you how large they get. And this velveteen is supposed to get big, which is great. It's going to fill in this one container. And then here, this isn't a Coleus, but Creeping Jenny is a wonderful chartreuse trailing plant. And it grows really, really well here in my mid-Missouri garden. Again, just foliage, but this pop of color, you can see this from a long ways off. Big impact with Creeping Jenny. Okay, and then I'm going to plant up 2 identical concrete urns. One, they sit on either side of our front door. And I have chosen, this is a flowering plant. I will say this is the one flowering plant I'm going to plant up today. This is the dragon wing pink begonia. Now it looks absolutely pathetic right now. These are ones that I ordered from Proven Winners Direct, and I think I did a video on that. Or maybe I did a short, I can't remember. But one of my boxes, they were like upside down and inside out. They were in rough shape. In fact, this pot cracked because that particular box was not handled very well by FedEx. Didn't make me too happy, but I have grown dragon wing begonias in this exact spot before. I don't ever find the pink ones where I live. And I can always find red or white, but I want pink. And so that is the tag for the dragon wing, or angel wing if you'd rather, begonia. So it's very foliage forward, but it has these beautiful, beautiful pink blooms. And I am pairing with that the Color Blaze Strawberry Drop Coleus. It's not showing a lot of pink today, but let me get the tag in. I hope you can see the tag. And it should have a lot more pink, especially when I can get it out in sunlight instead of inside the greenhouse. So those are going to go together. Again, I'll tell you more about the specs and the growth habits of these plants when we get up to the containers. Well, I've made it up here by the garage, and so first up will be these 2 tall containers. I would say this container is, I don't know, 3 foot tall, somewhere around there. So you want to think about the size of your container when you're choosing and selecting plants. All right, so let's look at the specs on this Color Blaze Velveteen Coleus. It's an award winner, oh, by the way, and what a range on height. It says it can get 24 to 40 inches tall. So that's 2 foot to 3.5 foot tall. If you've grown this, please leave me a comment below. Has your Color Blaze Velveteen Coleus gotten 3.5 foot tall? Wow, wow, wow. If it really does, it might even end up hitting this light fixture. I don't know. I can't imagine it'll get that tall. But the other benefit of these beautiful Coleus from Proven Winners is this one in particular, and they have a whole line that can take sun or shade. Again, those tricky spots in your garden. This is shaded almost the entire day, but late afternoon during certain parts of the summer, the sun, as it's going down, it will hit this one more than the other one behind the camera. And so it'll serve both purposes, sun or shade. Okay, so I'm expecting to get really, really big. Let's see if it talks about spacing. Maximum spacing is 16 inches. So I imagine this isn't, believe it or not, a very big opening. I think this is about a 12 by 12, maybe not even that big. So I expect it to fill up this container. So I'm going to put it right in the middle so that it has room to grow. And then I'm going to plant the sweet little creeping Jenny in the front. And again, the specs on creeping Jenny, part sun. So it needs just a little bit of sun, not a lot. And let's see the size. Oh, it can get 18 inches wide, which would be great if it would cover the front of my planter. And let's see. I guess it says 18 to 24 inches. So I would imagine, I've grown creeping Jenny before, it will really go, 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 go. So that's the idea. So this could not be easier. 2 plants, 1 container, and you know, in a month or so, it's gonna put on a beautiful show. Okay, brought the camera in close as I plant this up. Super simple, guys. Fresh potting soil. A lot of times I'll top off big, huge containers like this, but for some reason, I can't remember why, we gave it all new fresh potting soil this year. And that's what I do a lot of times in the month of April, because I know by the time end of April and May hits, I am so busy planting, that I sometimes try to take care of some of those tasks ahead of time. And in this case, I did. So just find yourself a really high quality potting mix. I happen to use a brand that commercial growers use because I was at one of my favorite nurseries where I plant nurseries. And I just asked them, I said, hey, what do you recommend for potting soil? I'm usually a pro mix gal, but I'm willing to try something new this year. And they said, oh, we sell this commercial stuff that we use on all of our containers. And they do a lot of commercial work and do have phenomenal containers. And so I said, well, why not? So anyhow, that's the potting soil that I like to use. And so far, so good. We'll see how it does for the rest of the season, because it's sort of a new experiment for me. All right, so you saw me put the slow release, proven winter slow release, continuous plant food in the hole. In my experience, Coleus isn't a heavy feeder. It does, you have to support all this gorgeous foliage, but it's not so much like a big flowering annual, you know, like a super petunia, you know, those are pumping out big flowers and they really have to be fed. They're heavy feeders, as they say, but I don't find Coleus needs that much fertilizer. So, all right. I mean, record time. Look at that. Again, you know, this was not a big investment, guys. This was 2 plants. 2 plants is all that is, but I promise you, because of the size specs on this and the trailing habit of this beautiful chartreuse creeping Jenny, it is going to give you big impact. And isn't this great to go with something chartreuse like this creeping Jenny, because look at the edges of this velveteen Coleus, right? So I think they're going to play nicely together. Now, I am going to give it a tiny little drink, even though we had a big rain yesterday. Golly, it rained the entire day. And so the soil is fairly wet. I'm just going to mostly give it a little spray here to get the soil off the rim. All right, that's all I'm going to do. Could not be easier. I'm going to turn the camera around, go do the other identical planter, and then we're going to go to the front porch. Okay, made it to the front porch. So I'm going to be potting up my concrete urns. These are a unique stone urn, and they were an investment. Any of these big concrete planters, if you have them, you know, they're an investment piece. All right, here we are on my front porch, and I have these lovely concrete urns from Unique Stone. Concrete containers are quite an investment, but it's something I had really wanted for a long time, and it, to me, was worth it. One of the reasons why I wanted concrete and this particular, because not only are they beautiful, but This front porch faces west and that's south. And we have, where I live, massive winds that come through here in the summer from the southwest. And if I don't have containers that are hefty or big enough to not get tipped over in high winds, you know, it's going to be a problem. I mean, when we first moved here, I had some rinky-dink containers and they did not do the job, especially when you plant them full of flowers or plants like Coleus or whatever that can get really tall. That wind can catch the mass of that plant and flip the whole container over. So these concrete urns were just the perfect choice for this location. Okay, quick reminder, let me grab the plants and let's talk about the specs on the plants that are going in. And just like the other planter boxes I did just a second ago at the garage, only 2 plants are going to be needed to fill this container and get beautiful and showy. They're just going to be gorgeous. Okay. So this, this does have flowers. It's not purely foliage, but this one is the dragon wing pink begonia. Let's see here. Part shade to shade, perfect location because even though it's facing west, this is a deep porch. So this stays in shade the majority of the day. It gets a little bit of sun, maybe an hour or 2 in the middle of summer when the sun is low in the sky, but otherwise it's pretty shady. Okay, what did I say? 14 to 18 inches tall. Yeah, and spacing width-wise, 15 to 18 inches wide. So, these containers, this is only about 14 inches at the top, and actually they kind of narrow down or neck down. So I can't fit a lot of things in this container, but I have grown the angel wing, dragon wings in this container, and mine get taller than 18 inches. I mean, I've had them easily up to here. So we'll see how these do, but I would expect they'll do the same as my other ones have done. Okay, so this is gonna go in the pot, and then I only have room for one other thing. And of course, this would be my foliage plant. And let me see, what did I do with the tag? Oh goodness, getting things mixed up here. Okay, yeah. This is the Color Blaze Strawberry Drop Coleus. And this is the one that is a spiller. It'll be a beautiful, it'll sit on the front edge and it will grow over the top of the pot and down and probably end up, I'll probably have to prune it. It'll probably end up touching the bottom, touching the porch, the concrete. But let me just double check. Yeah, sun to shade again. Oh, Proven Winners is amazing. This can do sun or shade, so that's great. Like, it doesn't matter where you put it, it's gonna perform. Sun to shade and 18 to 24 inches long and about, what does it say, wide? Spacing 12 inches, so I only need one. That's a great savings, everybody. I mean, when you can plant something that's gonna give you a wow and you only use 2 plants, sign me up. That's the kind of planting I like to do. Okay, so could not be easier. Fill it with soil. I'm gonna use the slow release fertilizer from Proven Winners. Pop 2 of these in each container, in each container, and we're done. So I'll just probably speed up the video and then we'll talk a little bit more about how much I love Coleus, and I hope you'll give it a try in your own garden. thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I planted up 4 containers. I am working through that plant stash in my greenhouse. Every day for the next couple of days, it's going to be plant, plant, plant. So I hope today was interesting for you. I hope that this little video just might be an inspiration for you to consider that you don't always have to plant your containers full of things that have tons of flowers on them to be equally beautiful, by selecting some really beautiful Coleus and things like creeping Jenny that bring a chartreuse pop of color to the garden. So I hope you'll take away that from this, but also a couple of other things I hope you leave the video thinking about, and that would be that knowing the full mature size of your plants is really important in selecting them and deciding where they're going to fit in your containers. And that despite what you see online, constantly seeing these gardeners cramming their pots full of plants, it is not necessary if you know how big the plant will eventually get. In fact, it's not healthy for your plants to be packed in super tight and compete for water and nutrients in a limited amount of soil. So I hope that's another takeaway for you. And do your research. Ask at your local garden center what things grow equally well in sun or shade, and that can really help you solve some of those spots in your garden that I find, certainly I have a lot of them in my garden, that are tricky, that they get a little sun, but then they get full shade. What in the world's going to grow and do well there? So again, you know the deal with me. Doesn't look like much today. But I'll bring you on my monthly garden tours, and we will take a look at these beautiful containers throughout the next 3 and 4 months. And they're really gonna do something special, I hope, and bring even more beauty to the garden. So until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.